Do you remember the silliest promise you made as a child? For our heroine, it was the bold declaration that she would make him her husband when they grew up. Years have passed, and Tong Shi now only wants to bury that past to become an elegant and perfect high school student. But fate would not let her off the hook. Just as she moved back to her hometown, that future husband from years ago appeared. Ironically, he is the only one holding the key to destroying the white swan image she has been painstakingly building. That person is none other than Lin Nanyi, her childhood sweetheart. Rewinding to the past in a small village, Lin Nanyi was a weak boy who was frequently bullied by his peers. In such situations, a heroine is bound to appear. This little girl even boldly declared that she would marry that boy in the future. That person was none other than Tong Shi. But soon, this friendship was severed because she had to follow her mother to live in Dachang City. Naturally, the two children lost all contact until her mother accidentally got a job in Shihai, that old countryside, so she decided to move back there. Of course, Tong Shi had to tag along, but deep down, she did not want to return to Shihai at all because this weekend, Tong Shi had a fan meeting to get an autograph from her idol, Qinghe, and a date with a senior. Seeing this, she begged her mother to postpone the move to Shihai but was refused. Harboring grievances in her heart, Tong Shi quickly came up with her own plan. Taking advantage of a moment when her mother was not paying attention, she bought a return ticket to Dachang. How could a fangirl like her miss such a good opportunity? When the mother and daughter arrived home, they saw a familiar figure waiting for them, and it turned out to be her father. Knowing they were coming back, he had been waiting since the afternoon. Tong Shi's mother did not look pleased, but the girl felt happy because it had been a long time since she saw her dad. The next morning, Tong Shi deliberately woke up early and got ready, just waiting for her mother to leave for work so the race against time could begin. But unluckily, her mother did not leave as early as expected, making Tong Shi sit on pins and needles. As soon as she heard the door close, she flew downstairs. She did not forget to leave a note for her mother, saying she was going back to Dachang and would return soon, so mom should not worry. It seemed like Tong Shi got out on the wrong side of the bed that morning because bad luck came continuously. Clearly, she hailed a taxi first, but it was snatched by a guy. After that, she had to run for her life to the airport. Just past security, Tong Shi spotted a familiar figure, and it turned out to be that annoying guy, so she immediately took action. When the other person turned around, she quickly realized it was Lin Nanyi, the man she once declared she would marry. Too embarrassed, she tried to run away, but unexpectedly, he pulled her back. Why run away when meeting your future husband like that? While talking, a man seemed to rush past. Lin Nanyi pulled her into his arms, but she reacted instinctively and pushed him away, causing him to twist his ankle. In the end, neither of them could make it to Dachang. He really is the bane of her existence. The next morning, fearing bad luck would strike again, Tong Shi asked her mother how many high schools there were in Shihai. Hearing her mother say there were 3 schools, she rejoiced, thinking surely she would not be unlucky enough to meet him again. After breakfast, Tong Shi had to go to school wearing her Dachang school uniform. On the way, she accidentally met Lin Nanyi. Seeing he had many injuries, she thought he had been fighting again, so she did not bother to care, until Lin Nanyi brought out a cat. Then she changed her attitude and finally took the initiative to put a bandage on him before heading to school. The uniform she was wearing quickly caught the students' attention and sparked gossip. Naturally, Tong Shi became the center of attention. Knowing she was a transfer student, everyone was eager to see her face. As a girl who had studied ballet for a long time, her aura was naturally outstanding, helping her successfully earn the school nickname White Swan. After being introduced to the class by the teacher, she was welcomed like a goddess. Experiencing this feeling for the first time, Tong Shi enjoyed it very much. The first thing she did upon entering the classroom was to look around for Lin Nanyi, and luckily he was not in this class. Once the class learned Tong Shi studied ballet, they asked for a demonstration. Her movement successfully won over the entire class's affection. To maintain this beautiful image, the next day she deliberately acted out scenes that were both poetic and sentimental. It was the image of a girl intently reading a book, with the sunlight shining through at the right moment, her hair flowing, and a smile on her lips, instantly creating the image of a goddess. But when that poetic scene ended, the next sequence was what she wanted least, which was the sight of Lin Nanyi in the classroom. It turned out that on the first day of school he deliberately skipped class because he knew there would be nothing fun. Tong Shi froze as soon as she saw him. Since he was in the class, she became much more uneasy, fearing that if he slipped up and spoke nonsense, her goddess image would collapse. It would be very sad to have it collapse before she could even enjoy it. So Tong Shi tried to pretend they did not know each other and warned him to keep his mouth shut. While chatting with Tao Ju, Tong Shi claimed she did not like Qinghe's stories and only liked detective novels. Lin Nanyi sitting behind her could only smirk. It was truly a blatant lie. After school, Tao Ju invited invited her to hang out at the Blue Whale bookstore. Her favorite comic series was there, but since she had claimed to like detective stories, she pretended not to care. Lin Nanyi appeared and mocked her. Eventually, Tong Shi could not resist the temptation of the book and decided to borrow. It turned out Lin Nanyi worked part-time there. During their conversation, they learned that Tong Shi was from Shihai, but they were curious why they did not know her if that was the case. Afraid of exposing her fierce past, she covered it up by saying she rarely went out and later moved to Dachang, so they never had a chance to meet. The friends also found out that Tong Shi and Lin Nanyi used to know each other, which was quite shocking. That night, she wished she could chop him into pieces, because he was the one who revealed this. Tong Shi wanted to cut their photo in half, but decided against it, thinking it was a memory after all. The next morning, he even deliberately teased her into joining the wall newspaper activity. Tong Shi was clearly trying to refuse the teacher's invitation, but unexpectedly he cheered enthusiastically, forcing Tong Shi to participate reluctantly. However, for someone like her with absolutely no talent for drawing, this was nothing short of a trap designed to expose her white swan facade. That night, she called her best friend in Dacheng for photos of wall newspapers from previous years. However, even with photos to trace, Tong Shi simply couldn't do it. Lin Nanyi didn't leave her hanging. He proactively asked if she needed help, but Tong Shi flatly refused, not wanting to get entangled with him. The grading day was fast approaching, yet the class board remained untouched. The teacher even came to ask Tong Shi if she could finish in time. To save face, Tong Shi claimed everything was under control and told him not to worry. So that night, she stayed behind at school alone to draw, but she just couldn't produce anything. The thought of being exposed and losing her angelic reputation was unbearable. Fortunately, Lin Nanyi arrived, not forgetting to bring some late-night snacks for Tong Shi. At first, she stubbornly claimed she didn't need them, but Lin Nanyi knew she was incredibly anxious, so he insisted on helping. While drawing, he asked about the idol. Qinghan learned that Tong Shi was obsessed with this author. Little did she know that the idol she dreamed of meeting and getting an autograph from was standing right next to her. Lin Nanyi could only smile. Unexpectedly, in a short amount of time, his masterpiece was complete, and it was unbelievably beautiful. Hey, since when did your drawing skills improve like this? Only then did Tong Shi dare to breathe a sigh of relief. Finally, they could both go home. The next morning, the teachers arrived to grade the work. Tong Shi presented clearly and confidently. Naturally, the class won first prize, marking the first time the class had received such a high score. While they were out celebrating, Tong Shi noticed that Taoju looked sad. It turned out that yesterday was the birthday of a senior she liked, and she had been invited. Not knowing what gift to choose, Taoju had asked Wang Yiming. After rambling a bit, he concluded, just give him something he likes. So, Taoju went to learn how to grill squid. At the party, she presented it as a gift, but unexpectedly, everyone laughed at her, and even the senior mocked her. This hurt her deeply, so she decided to leave. The senior had no idea that her hands were all blistered from grilling that batch. While she was sobbing, Wang Yiming appeared. Although he wasn't good at comforting people, his timely appearance was comfort enough. If he won't eat it, I will. However, when recounting the story later, Wang Yiming used a mocking tone, which made Taoju even angrier. Seeing this, the shop owner, Mia, stepped in to defuse the situation, while Tong Shi stayed to comfort her friend. Taoju felt she had been so stupid. That night, she told Wang Yiming, hey, do you know why everyone avoids you? Because you talk too much and are tactless. The next morning, Lin Nanyi suddenly complained about being thirsty and wanting a cold Coke, so Tong Shi stood up and went to buy one. Then he pulled the I can't open it stunt, so Tong Shi had to do that too. It turned out they had made a deal. Since Lin Nanyi saved her life by saving her reputation, Tong Shi had to be his servant for a week. This turned out to be his way of pursuing the girl he liked, as Lin Nanyi had remained faithful to this love since childhood. In the classroom, Taoju asked Tong Shi, what exactly is your relationship with Lin Nanyi? Upon hearing her say they were just friends, Taoju breathed a sigh of relief. It's good that you're just friends, otherwise you'd be getting special attention from someone else. Just then, the class monitor, He Xiaoyuan, returned. She quickly came to greet Tong Shi, but the moment she saw Lin Nanyi, she rushed over to him, ignoring everything else. She even gave him the trophy she had just received. It could be said that the class monitor was both a top student and beautiful. Before Tong Shi arrived, she was the most standout girl in the class. Seeing the two of them talking so enthusiastically, Tong Shi unconsciously felt jealous. Before school ended, Lin Nanyi and Tong Shi had to stay behind for cleaning duty. He Xiaoyuan offered to stay and help Lin Nanyi, but he refused. Unexpectedly, she cast a slightly jealous look toward Tong Shi, leaving Tong Shi thinking, did she just glare at me? Because of today's events, that night Tong Shi decided to bury all their keepsakes and resolved not to think about him anymore. The next day in class, He Xiaoyuan announced that there would be a sports festival. Naturally, like every year, they would have a parade where she would hold the class sign, dressed gorgeously and walking in front of everyone, while the rest of the class would just be the background. The classmates wanted to object but didn't dare, so Wang Yiming spoke up, suggesting that Tong Shi perform ballet. In the end, they had to vote to choose the performance. Unexpectedly, the votes for Tong Shi overwhelmingly beat He Xiaoyuan. She felt humiliated, and losing her spotlight in the class made her very resentful. At the end of class, Tong Shi had an idea. Since this was a group activity, she wanted everyone to participate. They would pair up to dance, and Tong Shi would be in charge of teaching everyone. At first, no one dared to sign up, but when Lin Nanyi and Wang Yiming raised their hands, the whole class joined in unison. Unfortunately, Tong Shi didn't include Lin Nanyi on the list. When asked, she used the excuse that his leg was still hurting, so she excluded him. As for the class monitor, wanting to get close to Lin Nanyi, she asked to sign up for the squad. However, when they gathered and Lin Nanyi was nowhere to be seen, He Xiaoyuan started making things difficult for Tong Shi, constantly objecting and offering opinions that caused internal discord. Tong Shi really couldn't stand this. That night, she confided in her father, but he thought her mother would give better advice since this was her area of expertise. However, Tong Shi was afraid of being scolded by her mother, so she didn't ask. That night, she wanted to open up and talk to her mother, but she was ignored, so Tong Shi could only try hard and learn from the internet. And naturally, during the second practice session, she was also given a hard time by He Xiaoyuan, who even kept stepping on her dance partner's feet. Her mouth said sorry, but her feet deliberately did what they shouldn't, to the point where the male student asked to take a break before continuing. Then the class monitor claimed she would go find help, and the person she sought out was none other than Lin Nanyi. This was He Xiaoyuan's main goal all along. She even intentionally mentioned that Tong Shi didn't choose him first. However, whenever Lin Nanyi opened his mouth, every word was in defense of Tong Shi. This made He Xiaoyuan feel even more insecure. She remembered that before Tong Shi appeared, Lin Nanyi was always the one who stepped up to protect her. That year, because she couldn't afford textbook fees, He Xiaoyuan was threatened by her family to drop out of school. Fortunately, Lin Nanyi appeared just in time and gave her the necessary money. To prevent her from feeling guilty, Lin Nanyi told her she had to do his daily homework as repayment. After that, they went to school together. From then on, He Xiaoyuan had been devoted to Lin Nanyi, but since Tong Shi arrived, his attention was no longer directed at her. Deep down, He Xiaoyuan viewed Tong Shi as a threat, which was why she always tried to make things difficult for the heroine during practice. Tong Shi was stressed because she couldn't finalize the dance moves. Lin Nanyi observed all her difficulties. He quietly looked for a solution for Tong Shi, even practicing the dance beforehand at night because he knew she would eventually come to him. On the other hand, Tong Shi wasn't idle either. She practiced diligently with her friends. Unexpectedly, Lin Nanyi recorded the whole session and sent it to Tong Shi's mother. This made her very angry because the girl wasn't focusing on her studies. Tong Shi also shared her difficulties with her mother. Although she was still quite angry, she didn't forget to watch her daughter's dance routine. Meanwhile, Lin Nanyi practiced dancing whenever and wherever he could. Suddenly, that afternoon, Tong Shi called him to say she was coming to his house. This made him quite panicked, because if he let Tong Shi into his room, she would find out that Lin Nanyi was actually Qinghe. So he scrambled to clean up all traces, after which they practiced dancing together. At this moment, Tong Shi also invited him to join the dance group. After vehemently refusing, Lin Nanyi asked her to model for his drawing, as a way to return the favor. While he was drawing, Tong Shi fell asleep because she was too exhausted from days of hard work. Lin Nanyi drew while admiring the gentle beauty of his friend. Thanks to this, he created the female protagonist for his next comic series. That night, he immediately submitted the script and the main character design to the producer. The new story was quickly approved. Later that night, Tong Shi went to the tree and decided to retrieve their keepsake box. At this moment, she remembered the day she and her mother decided to leave this place. The sad thing was that Lin Nanyi didn't come to see her off, and he didn't even reply to the letters she had sent. But Tong Shi didn't know that Lin Nanyi had actually come that day and had picked up the necklace she intentionally left behind. The next morning, Lin Nanyi arrived at the place where they were practicing. At this point, Tong Shi announced that Lin Nanyi would be joining everyone. Thanks to that, the practice session went quite smoothly, and naturally, the two of them were paired up. This made He Xiaoyuan extremely angry, to the point where she couldn't stop clawing at her eraser. The sports festival finally arrived. Naturally, the group had perfected their dance routine, and the person who helped re-choreograph it was none other than Tong Shi's mother. She was her right-hand woman. However, trouble arrived quickly. Unexpectedly, right before the official performance, they discovered that the performance dresses had vanished. Tong Shi and her friend had clearly put them in the closet that night. Everyone rushed to search everywhere. Lin Nanyi even went to the teacher's office to ask them to check the security cameras, but in the the end, they couldn't find them. Out of options, Tong Shi asked her father to run downtown to see if any place rented similar outfits, but unfortunately, there were none. Now there was only one solution: use the uniforms they were wearing. Then, Tong Shi and the others went to the teacher's office to borrow paintbrushes. Next, they began drawing their favorite images on their jackets and tied them around their waists. This would help the audience visualize skirts throughout the performance. Although they weren't wearing proper costumes, their graceful steps and smiles made the performance go incredibly smoothly. It seemed that in their eyes, their attire was no longer a drawback. What mattered were the smiles and the aura the class projected. When the performance ended, they received a round of applause from everyone. The results came quickly, and as expected, their class won first prize. Naturally, Tong Shi received a commendation for being an excellent leader during the opening ceremony. The whole class clapped to congratulate her, with only He Xiaoyuan feeling resentful. That night, the senior sought out Tao Ju to ask if she would practice acting with him. This was what Tao Ju had dreamed of, getting close to her crush, but Wang Yiming was not happy about it. Meanwhile, Tong Shi went to visit her father, showing off her achievement and wishing him a happy birthday. While waiting for him to cook, Tong Shi wandered around his study and realized he was passionate about writing, though he hadn't achieved fame after many years. This was also part of the reason her mother had left him. When Tong Shi asked if he ever got discouraged with writing, he replied, "Of course not, because this is my passion. Being able to live with it is happiness." This made Tong Shi reflect on herself. Was she truly passionate about ballet, or was she just following her mother's wishes? Suddenly, Lin Nanyi arrived. It turned out he had also come to wish him a happy birthday. Tong Shi was quite surprised to see how close their relationship was, so she asked for the reason. Her father almost revealed Lin Nanyi's true identity. Afterwards, Tong Shi joined her father to cook. During their conversation, she learned that on the day she left, Lin Nanyi had come looking for her. Hearing she had already gone, the boy felt a flash of sadness. Since then, Lin Nanyi had come to hang out with Tong Shi's father every day. She then wondered why the letters she sent to Lin Nanyi never received a reply. That's right, after you left, Lin Nanyi moved to the Mint House. Maybe the address you wrote was the old one, so he didn't receive them. Everything finally made sense. It turned out she had wrongly blamed him. That night, Tong Shi took the initiative to go outside and chat with him. When her father saw the romantic scene between the young couple, he hurriedly took notes as material for his future book. That night, Tong Shi discovered that Qinghe had released a new comic titled Mint. She felt something was strange. It was very similar to her favorite plant. When looking at the character in the story, Tong Shi immediately recognized it as herself. She was shocked. Why did she appear in her idol's new comic? But she didn't think much of it, simply assuming that perhaps her idol had noticed her. The next morning, Tong Shi heard about a rather spiritual local trend. If you use cat paper to write a letter to your crush, it will definitely come true. Although she claimed not to believe it on the surface, right after class ended, she rushed to the bookstore to buy cat paper. Unexpectedly, only the last notebook was left, and Tong Shi had to beg just to get 2 sheets. Lin Nanyi saw this scene. That night, Tong Shi decided to write letters to the 2 people she secretly liked, her idol and her senior. Unexpectedly, those 2 letters were confiscated by her mother. She had accidentally seen them and realized her daughter wanted to date, but to prevent Tong Shi from neglecting her studies, she confiscated them. In class that day, He Xiaoyuan took the initiative to approach Lin Nanyi, gave him some cat paper, and gently reminded him that it was very effective. Tong Shi saw this, and unconsciously feeling jealous, she avoided him, even refusing to give the books to Lin Nanyi to take back to class. Lin Nanyi seemed to know exactly why she was sulking like that. During IT class, Tong Shi decided to send emails to the senior and her idol, thinking that if she deleted the history afterwards, her mother certainly wouldn't find out. Unexpectedly, He Xiaoyuan saw her doing personal things in class and took a photo. Who knew what trick she would pull? That night, Wang Yiming discovered Tao Ju's letter tucked inside a book. It turned out that when Lin Nanyi went to get books for them, he accidentally dropped them, causing the letter to get tucked into Wang Yiming's book by mistake. But he mistakenly thought Tao Ju liked him, so he smiled foolishly. Meanwhile, Tao Ju searched everywhere but couldn't find the letter. However, she didn't care anymore because the senior had proactively talked to her, so the letter didn't matter. The next morning was the day to send letters. He Xiaoyuan went to Lin Nanyi's workplace to proactively give him her letter, expecting to receive a similar one in return. Unexpectedly, Lin Nanyi returned a blank letter, making He Xiaoyuan very disappointed. She shed tears and left. At that moment, Tong Shi's letter to the senior was leaked on the school website. It turned out He Xiaoyuan used that method to take revenge on Tong Shi. Seeing that things were going wrong, Lin Nanyi ran to find Tong Shi to help comfort her. At that moment, Tao Ju also went looking for Tong Shi to reassure her, but unexpectedly ran into Wang Yiming. He was under the delusion that she liked him, so he acted very flirtatious suspicious. While Tao Ju thought he was sick in the head, Lin Nanyi agreed to resolve this for Tong Shi because he had connections with major publishers. He only needed to say the word, and they would be ready to delete the post. But it was on the condition that Tong Shi must return to living as her true self. Otherwise, if any problems occurred in the future, Lin Nanyi would not help anymore. Don't you see that living a fake life like this brings so much trouble? Tong Shi felt the same way. Because she kept maintaining this image, she had never been able to be true to herself. She agreed to Lin Nanyi's condition. So, everything was handled smoothly. The two returned to the bookstore, where Tao Ju and Wang Yiming were also present. Tao Ju hurriedly chased the two boys inside so she could talk to Tong Shi. You're a fan of Qinghe, right? Your writing style is just like a crazy fangirl's. How can you imitate it so well? At this moment, Tong Shi decided not to hide it anymore. I am that person. This made Tao Ju so shocked that her jaw dropped. That night, they brainstormed a solution for the letter incident together. If the whole school thought Tong Shi wrote it, she would definitely be mocked. So Tao Ju volunteered to take the blame. After all, she wasn't famous, so it didn't really matter if the students in the school knew. Thanks to that, the next morning, Tong Shi wasn't besieged by the gossip of her classmates. However, no one noticed the class monitor's expression. He Xiaoyuan felt extremely angry. After handling this incident, Tao Ju and Tong Shi's relationship deepened. Previously, in Tao Ju's eyes, her friend was an unreachable star, but now it was different. Understanding Tong Shi better made all the distance between them disappear. At this moment, Tong Shi also shared about the senior. Knowing that he would visit Shihai this week to process admission documents, Tong Shi was happy because she was about to meet the person she liked. So, she tried on her favorite dress to wear to meet him, but discovered it was too tight. Consequently, she decided to lose weight, eating nothing and only drinking fruit juice to get by. After school, Tao Ju wondered, why does the female lead in the comic Mint look so much like Tong Shi? Did you send selfies to Qinghe? But Tong Shi's mind was on no one else but the senior. I didn't send any. Maybe it's just a coincidence. She didn't even bother sending status updates to her idol or spending time paying attention to Mint. Then, Tong Shi asked Lin Nanyi for permission to live out the white swan role for 3 more days because she wanted to stand out in the senior's eyes. Lin Nanyi felt annoyed. He didn't want Tong Shi to have eyes for anyone else. Meanwhile, Tao Ju went to the club to practice acting. She worked hard to memorize her lines, even calling for Wang Yiming's help. But when she stood on the stage for the rehearsal, Tao Ju couldn't remember her lines, which made everyone quite annoyed. Suddenly, the senior walked in. Let me practice with you. This made Tao Ju even more nervous. Clearly, the practice was a failure, but the senior allowed her to go home to practice again and participate in a second rehearsal. And the day Wei Zhe visited Shihai arrived. Upon receiving the message, Tong Shi and Tao Ju pretended to have stomach aches to ask the teacher to go to the infirmary. Then Tong Shi hurriedly changed into a pristine white dress and left them to run to the train station to welcome the senior. But unexpectedly, due to fasting for days, her body was exhausted, so just as she greeted him, Tong Shi fainted and fell into Wei Zhe's arms. This shocked him quite a bit, so he took her to the hospital. In her dream, Tong Shi kept talking to Wei Zhe in her consciousness. Why are you sitting upside down like that? The Wei Zhe in her dream told her. You fainted, you're in the hospital now. The heroine really knows how to make an impression on others. When she woke up, the senior told her he had to return to school to handle some paperwork, leaving Tong Shi there to wait for her friend. It turned out that while she was unconscious, he had called Lin Nanyi. Although Lin Nanyi was quite angry with Tong Shi, the moment he heard she was hospitalized, he rushed over as fast as he could. However, she was still immersed in her fantasy about the senior, so she kept praising him in front of Lin Nanyi. Then, disregarding her health, she insisted on being discharged. Lin Nanyi tried to stop her, but ultimately failed because Tong Shi was afraid that missing class would reveal she had played hooky earlier. Meanwhile, Wei Zhe had arrived at the school to register. The teachers were quite impressed with his academic achievements and praised him endlessly. During their conversation, Wei Zhe accidentally learned that he Xiaoyuan was Tong Shi's classmate, so he followed her, wanting to visit the classroom to see if Tong Shi was okay. When the senior arrived, the whole class was immediately captivated by his godlike good looks. Tong Shi was also quite surprised, so she shyly went outside to talk to him. He Xiaoyuan secretly rejoiced, thinking that seeing this scene would make Lin Nanyi give up on Tong Shi. Unexpectedly, Lin Nanyi challenged him, wanting a basketball match to settle things. To everyone's surprise, Tong Shi only cheered for Wei Zhe. In the end, the senior lost to Lin Nanyi. Instead of congratulating Lin Nanyi, Tong Shi turned around and scolded him for being too rough with his opponent, even though the teacher said Lin Nanyi hadn't committed a foul. Seeing this, Lin Nanyi left in disappointment. The rest of the class left Tong Shi there with the senior. That night, the two went out for dinner, but Wei Zhe's elitist attitude surfaced. He criticized the place for being countrified, and the food food for not being high class enough, so he didn't touch it. He expressed that this place wasn't worthy of his return and that he was only here because he had no other choice. Yet, Tongxi remained blindly infatuated with him, even though their outlooks on life were completely misaligned. Refusing to give up, she invited the senior to watch the blue tears with Meng. Her the following night. That night, she told Taoju everything. Both girls hoped for a beautiful ending with the senior. At this point, Tongxi logged into her comic reading account. She discovered that Qingye had read her messages and even replied, making her endlessly happy. She tried every way to keep the conversation going, completely unaware that the person on the other side of the screen was actually Lin Nanyi. The next morning, Taoju received sad news. The senior had rejected her for the role. It turned out that during the second rehearsal night, Taoju's performance was incredibly disjointed and she couldn't get into character properly. Disappointment was clearly visible on the senior's face, so the rejection was inevitable. Suddenly, He Xiaoyuan took the initiative to strike up a conversation with Tongxi. She deliberately focused on the relationship between Tongxi and Wei Zhe, expressing that she supported them and thought they looked like a perfect match, wanting to emphasize to Lin Nanyi that those two belonged together. After school, she even intentionally sought out Lin Nanyi, claiming Tongxi and Wei Zhe were like lovebirds, and mentioning that they were going to see the blue tears that night, causing Lin Nanyi's mood to plummet. That night, her mother caught Tongxi sneaking out. When asked, she used the excuse of going to see her father and slipped away, but when she ran breathlessly to the meeting point, she received a call from Wei Zhe, saying he was already at the station heading back to the city. He simply said he had urgent business and couldn't make it. The casual way he spoke was heartbreaking, but when Wei Zhe learned that Tongxi intended to take him to see the blue tears that night, he immediately mocked her. There is no myth, it's just a phenomenon caused by colored jellyfish, and called Tongxi too childish. At this moment, she felt their perspectives were too different and felt a bit let down. Suddenly, Lin Nanyi walked up. "How did you know I was here? Don't tell me you followed me?" But Lin Nanyi didn't bother explaining. He just wanted to point out that Tongxi and Wei Zhe weren't a good match, simply because they didn't share the same outlook on life, and Wei Zhe didn't even like her true personality. "Tongxi, you can't live forever in a shell that isn't yours. If someone truly cherishes you, they will love every personality trait, even the bad ones." Just like Tao Zhu, when she knew the real Tongxi, she stayed by her side. Reflecting on this, Tongxi seemed to free her mind, so the two playfully frolicked under the blue tears phenomenon. Unexpectedly, this scene was captured by a classmate and sent to He Xiaoyuan, making her extremely angry. Meanwhile, Tao Zhu and Wang Yiming also went to the beach to vent after discovering the senior had deceived Tao Zhu. At this moment, the boy also expressed his thoughts. "I know you secretly sent me a letter, but Tao Zhu, I'm not ready to enter a relationship yet." Tao Zhu froze upon hearing this and told him it was an accident. The letter wasn't for him. Tao Zhu then stormed off in a huff. That night, Tongxi shared everything with Qinghe. Seizing this opportunity, Lin Nanyi steered the conversation, wanting to know if she had feelings for him. But unexpectedly, Tongxi affirmed that she and Lin Nanyi were just best friends. The next morning, Tongxi decided to shed her white swan armor. She decided that after the teacher's observation class ended, she would tell the truth to her classmates. But unexpectedly, during the observation class, Tongxi was pranked by He Xiaoyuan. Originally, the teacher had designated He Xiaoyuan to go to the board to draw, but unexpectedly, she suggested Tongxi go up instead. Although Lin Nanyi rushed to rescue the situation, he was unsuccessful. As a result, Tongxi caused the teacher to lose face in front of the observation council. Thus, He Xiaoyuan succeeded in humiliating Tongxi in front of the class, and Tongxi also cried, apologized to the teacher, and confessed that she hadn't drawn the wall newspaper picture. Lin Nanyi did. Meanwhile, He Xiaoyuan deliberately spoke loudly in class, accusing Tongxi of intentionally harming the teacher because she drew very well before, but now deliberately pretended not to be able to draw, so the teacher's lesson would be rated poorly. Hearing this, Tao Zhu couldn't sit still and accused He Xiaoyuan of being mean and playing a prank, but she claimed she had good intentions and wanted to yield the spotlight to Tongxi. Hearing this, Lin Nanyi didn't know what to say. When Tongxi returned to the classroom, He Xiaoyuan deliberately reproached her again. At this moment, Tongxi was determined to tell the truth to her classmates. She actually couldn't draw well, and the wall newspaper had been drawn by her friend. Consequently, Tongxi was labeled a liar by the class. Seeing this, He Xiaoyuan smiled with satisfaction because she knew Tongxi had deceived the class about even more shocking things. During lunch, Lin Nanyi and everyone saw Tongxi sitting dazed at the table. They thought she was so sad that she had decided to go on a hunger strike, but unexpectedly, Tongxi was having an internal monologue. She had decided to say goodbye to all the false pretenses and live true to herself. "Hey, do you want to starve yourself?" Only then did Tongxi snap out of her thoughts, her mood instantly brightening. Her friend friends, fearing she was hiding her emotions, were very worried. That night, Tongxi chatted with Qingye. She opened up, admitting that she used to hate her childhood friend due to a misunderstanding, but now she had developed a lot of affection for him. Only then did Lin Nanyi realize that when they were young, Tongxi had constantly sent him letters, but because he had moved, he never received any of them and thus hadn't replied. The next morning at school, after losing her halo, Tongxi was ostracized by her classmates. They viewed Tongxi as a bad person, even bad-mouthing her in the restroom without realizing she was in there too. Even so, she didn't plan to take revenge or argue with them. Whenever someone needed help, Tongxi was still ready to assist. During PE class, the students deliberately avoided Tongxi and even played tricks on her. Fortunately, another girl in the class had a different perspective on Tongxi and took the initiative to practice ball with Taoju and Tongxi. But the heroine didn't care much. Being able to live as her true self was liberating enough. Unexpectedly, He Xiaoyuan had another scheme. She won't live in peace. That night, the comic publisher contacted Lin Nanyi to announce a book signing event. Although he wanted to refuse, they wouldn't agree. Lin Nanyi feared that if Tongxi recognized him at the signing, the friendship that was just beginning to blossom into romance would end. Meanwhile, Tongxi had bought tickets and brought out many of Qinghe's comics to take to the signing. She even wrote a super cheesy letter to send to her idol. Lin Nanyi got goosebumps just listening to it. However, Taoju's mood was off today because she had just experienced a shock with the senior. He had someone new and even dismissed all her acting roles. Seeing this, Taoju announced to the senior that she wouldn't come to the drama stage anymore. From then on, her heart became heavy, and the day of the book signing arrived. Tongxi went to Dacheng, where she had coffee with the senior. It turned out Wei Zhe had promised to take Tongxi to the signing, so he was fulfilling that promise. However, Tongxi's clumsiness quickly caused her to lose points in the senior's eyes, leaving him feeling exasperated. On the other side, someone else was equally worried. Lin Nanyi, afraid of being recognized, he wore a full-body superhero costume that covered him completely, looking very bizarre. Some girls even suspected he was a pervert. By this time, Tongxi had bought some commemorative gifts at the signing, and the senior asked to go buy water because he disliked the crowd. So Tongxi walked alone, but unexpectedly, while going down the stairs, she was bumped into by a group of young men, causing her to lose her balance. Disregarding the danger, Lin Nanyi rushed over to catch her, unexpectedly injuring himself in the process. Seeing this, Tongxi hurried to help treat his wound, but Lin Nanyi ran away. Finally, the time for the fan meeting arrived. Fearing his face would be exposed, Lin Nanyi deliberately found a plush animal head to wear, which surprised everyone. When asked, he explained that he was afraid of being recognized and that it wasn't the right time to reveal his face yet. The fan interaction session began. The female fans wanted to pose intimately with the great god, idol author, but were refused. However, when Tongxi went up, the great god couldn't refuse any of her requests, even standing still to let Tongxi hug him for a photo. Before the session ended, the organizers held a lucky draw game. The selected person would get to interact with the great god, and he would accept any request from them. Unexpectedly, the lucky winner was Wei Zhe, so Tongxi begged him to ask the great god to remove his mask. However, when Wei Zhe made the request, the great god added a condition. He would only remove the mask behind a partition. The suspenseful moment arrived when Wei Zhe saw his face. He was quite shocked. He never expected it to be Lin Nanyi. However, he chose not to tell Tongxi the truth, simply saying that the great god was handsome. After the fan meeting ended, Tongxi stood at the back door, waiting for her idol to come out, hoping to catch a glimpse of his face. But just as she went to the restroom, Lin Nanyi stepped out, and the two boys met face to face. Lin Nanyi got straight to the point, demanding that Wei Zhe not reveal this secret to Tongxi. Just then, she returned. "Hey Lin Nanyi, why are you here? Don't tell me you came to meet the great god too." He immediately dodged the question to avoid revealing his identity. After they returned to Shihai, Tongxi distributed gifts to everyone. Even Lin Nanyi got a gift, and he could only smile and brush it off. Then, Tongxi noticed Lin Nanyi's hand was injured. She wanted to help treat it, but he refused, fearing discovery. That night, Tongxi went to Taoju's house for a sleepover. Taoju asked Tongxi if her feelings for the senior had returned, but Tongxi admitted that Wei Zhe wasn't what she imagined, and she no longer felt he was special. Taoju then shared her thoughts. She felt Lin Nanyi treated Tongxi very specially because he was always there when Tongxi needed him. Tongxi dismissed it, reasoning that it was just because they were childhood friends. She decided to focus her affections solely on Qinghe now. At that moment, the photo of her and the great god was posted online. Taoju found Qinghe quite familiar because his silhouette looked very much like Lin Nanyi's, but Tongxi called Taoju silly, thinking how could Lin Nanyi possibly compare to her great god. The next day, Taoju approached approached Wang Yiming and asked him to teach her how to play basketball. It turned out Tao Ju had left the drama club. Wang Yiming was happy to hear this until he discovered Tao Ju was completely clueless about basketball rules. It was like the shock of his life. How could someone not know such basic rules? Tao Ju got annoyed hearing that. Meanwhile, Tongxi stopped by Lin Nani's house to visit him but found the outer door unlocked, so she walked in. Upon opening his room door, she discovered a shocking secret. Lin Nani's room was full of drawings from the comic Mint, but Mint was written by the great god, so why were they here? Connecting the dots from past events, Tongxi realized that Lin Nani was actually Qinghe. Lin Nani stood frozen, knowing he could no longer hide the truth. Once Tongxi confirmed that he was indeed the great god, she immediately stormed off. That night, Tongxi reproached herself. Lin Nani clearly shared so many similarities with Qinghe, so why hadn't she realized it sooner? The next morning at school, Tongxi deliberately avoided Lin Nani. No matter how much he tried to approach her, she ignored him. Even when Tao Ju showed her the comic, it gave Tongxi goosebumps. During classes, Lin Nani intentionally tried to approach Tongxi to explain that he never meant to deceive her. However, Tongxi dodged him like the plague, leaving him helpless. She didn't even go to the Blue Whale shop after school. At this point, Tao Ju and Wang Yiming sensed something was wrong between the two. Hey, did you make Tongxi angry? Lin Nani couldn't explain easily, so he remained silent. Suddenly, He Xiaoyuan ran over, claiming she wanted to study there since exams were approaching, and signaled the other two to leave. Even so, Lin Nani didn't pay much attention to her. He Xiaoyuan deliberately ordered a mint lemon drink, but Lin Nani said they were out of ingredients and asked her to change her order. Unexpectedly, He Xiaoyuan boldly asked him, "Since Tongxi arrived, you two seem much closer. I want to know if it's just a pure friendship." Lin Nani didn't answer directly, simply stating that he felt Tongxi was a friendly girl and he liked that about her. Meanwhile, her mother wondered why Tongxi came home so early today. She used the excuse of doing homework. At the same time, her mother announced she had registered Tongxi for a ballet class during the summer break, meaning Tongxi wouldn't have a summer vacation at all. Meanwhile, out by the sea, Wang Yiming and Tao Ju were speculating that the other two were fighting and that there must be a misunderstanding, so they hatched a plan to bring them back together. That night, Lin Nanyi used his Qinghe account to talk to Tongxi. He wanted to explain, but unexpectedly, she was ruthless and blocked him. The next morning, Tongxi still ignored Lin Nanyi. Suddenly, He Xiaoyuan walked over cheerfully and gave Tongxi and the others the key math problems that would appear on the exam. This surprised the group. Had she taken the wrong medicine? It turned out that due to Lin Nanyi's words yesterday, He Xiaoyuan decided to become a kind and friendly person. At the end of the day, Tao Ju and Wang Yiming signaled each other. Tao Ju clutched her stomach, claiming it hurt too much to stay for duty, and asked Tongxi to cover for her. Wang Yiming claimed he had an important competition and left as well. Thus, they created an opportunity for Lin Nanyi and Tongxi to have space to talk. At first, the two didn't speak. Seeing this, Tao Ju and Wang Yiming took a risk, locked the door from the outside, and slipped away. Naturally, Lin Nanyi realized their intention and seized the opportunity to explain to Tongxi. He expressed that he had no intention of deceiving her. He simply discovered that the account user was Tongxi and wanted to chat to understand her better as a person. Seeing his sincerity, Tongxi eventually forgave him. Meanwhile, the two troublemakers messed up. Overjoyed that their plan succeeded, Wang Yiming casually tossed the key into the grass. They searched and argued but couldn't find it. The only option left was to go to the friend's house to borrow a spare, so Tao Ju rode off on her bicycle to find it. Back in the classroom, Tongxi had forgiven him, but she was curious about why Lin Nanyi became a comic writer. It turned out that as a child, he was often alone and bored, so he started drawing 4-panel comics. Unexpectedly, people supported him, and it was as simple as that. When Tongxi brought up romance, she admitted she felt a bit jealous because Lin Nanyi and He Xiaoyuan seemed close, but Lin Nanyi said they were just middle school friends. "So, are you and I just elementary school friends?" Although Lin Nanyi didn't answer directly, he was very ambiguous. "Aren't we childhood sweethearts? Besides, you promised to marry me." Hearing this, Tongxi felt happy in her heart. Afterward, they reconciled. Meanwhile, Tao Ju and Wang Yiming sat laughing gloatingly. It turned out they also guessed Lin Nanyi would just open the window to get out without needing them to unlock the door. That evening, while Wang Yiming and Tao Ju were eating at a street stall, the senior suddenly approached and offered to invite Tao Ju back to be his logistics head. Unexpectedly, Tao Ju flatly refused, leaving him quite disappointed as he walked away. Seeing his friend's backbone, Wang Yiming looked up at the sky in triumph. Meanwhile, Tongxi and Lin Nanyi were happily texting each other. The next morning, he even came over to pick her up for the exam. After the exams ended, the students joyfully received their grades, but only Wang Yiming was scolded by the teacher for staying at the bottom of the list and refusing to move up. And the happiest moment was when the teacher announced the start of summer vacation. The whole class cheered happily at the teacher's words. Everyone had their own plans, but Tongxi alone had a packed ballet schedule, leaving her no time to even meet her friends. He Xiaoyuan wasn't very lucky either. When she went home to show off her achievements to her mother treated it as nothing special. In her mother's eyes, there was only her little son, which broke He Xiaoyuan's heart. She wondered why other parents loved their children so much, yet she couldn't receive that love. As the summer days began, Tongxi couldn't even sleep in for a single day. She had 2 or 3 dance classes because her mother had signed her up for a performance, even though Tongxi hadn't agreed to it. Since the summer break started, no one could get in touch with her. Tongxi even fell asleep while chatting with Tao Zhu. Meanwhile, the senior sought out Tao Zhu again. He expressed that she was quite important to the drama club, even humbling himself to convince her to return, promising not to let Tao Zhu be a floor cleaner like before. Moved by his sincere pleading, Tao Zhu agreed to return. The next day, Tongxi asked her mother for a day off, but she refused, and even forbade her from eating too many carbs for fear of gaining weight. This frustrated Tongxi greatly. Even though her mother knew her daughter's birthday was approaching, she didn't treat it as anything special. "That was the day I suffered pain to give birth to you, so you must know how to strive." Hearing this, Tongxi could only vent her emotions by smashing the egg in her hand onto the table and leaving the dining table. Meanwhile, Lin Nanyi and Tongxi's father were preparing for her birthday. The special thing was that he made the cake with his own hands. At this moment, Lin Nanyi also learned the reason why Tongxi's mother wanted her to dance ballet. It was simply because she loved ballet, but due to an accident, that dream had become impossible. Unwilling to accept it, she projected that dream onto Tongxi. Lin Nanyi felt it was unfair. Why impose a personal dream on her daughter when it might not be her dream at all? That evening, Lin Nanyi called to ask her out. Even though Tongxi said she didn't have time, and that one-sided appointment succeeded, he came to pick her up. It turned out everyone wanted Tongxi to enjoy a complete summer, so they took her to an amusement park. Upon arrival, Tongxi decided to turn off her phone, and the 4 of them played happily without a care in the world. When her friends asked if her mother would scold her for skipping dance class, she didn't care because she felt her mother was being too strict with her, making her feel unbearably suffocated. So Lin Nanyi advised Tongxi to have a frank heart-to-heart with her mother, but she didn't think it was feasible because her mother was very stubborn. Not wanting to ruin the atmosphere, everyone put that matter aside for the time being. Next, Lin Nanyi asked Tongxi to close her eyes for a surprise. After everyone got into position, Tongxi followed the trail of arrows to find them. At this moment, Lin Nanyi was waiting for her by an aquarium. He wanted to comfort her by suggesting that instead of complaining about fate, she should try to live happily and joyfully like the fish in the tank, which would be much wonderful. Tongxi received his message and smiled. Meanwhile, Wang Yiming and Tao Zhu got into an argument about Tao Zhu returning to the drama club. Too frustrated, he stormed off. Eventually, they gathered at Tongxi's father's house. They ate and drank happily together, and Tongxi cherished this moment very much. Her friends all gave Tongxi their most treasured gifts, but when asked about Lin Nanyi's gift, he remained silent. So Tongxi's father immediately stepped in to save the situation. "His gift is this cake right here." After the party ended, Lin Nanyi took Tongxi home. Only when they arrived did he take out the gift to give her. It turned out to be the necklace symbolizing their childhood pledge, specifically the one Tongxi had given him years ago. Lin Nanyi wanted her to keep it safe for him and give it back when they went to university. Then he gave her a sketch of the female protagonist from the comic Mint, saying it was a gift from the great god to him to give to her. Although the gifts were simple, they made Tongxi incredibly happy. But when she stepped into the house, her mother's angry face was clearly visible. Without saying a word, she immediately scolded Tongxi and made her stand in the corner as punishment. This broke Tongxi's heart. She didn't expect that on her birthday, her mother wouldn't even offer a single wish. She recalled how strict her mother had been since she was little. Even when Tongxi said she didn't want to learn dance, it couldn't shake her mother's determination. The next morning, Tongxi went to dance class looking distracted. "I want to talk to you about something, teacher." Without waiting for Tongxi to finish, the teacher brought out a very special-looking birthday gift that seemed to have been prepared for a long time. Upon asking, she learned that her mother had sent it to him. At this moment, Tongxi heard another story. The reason her mother returned to Shihai, it was because she wanted him to teach Tongxi dance, and she had humbled herself to beg him to get his acceptance. Her mother agreed to give up a good job in the city to move back here, and Tongxi learned she was the teacher's only student after he had decided to retire. These things changed Tongxi's thinking a lot. Before, she kept blaming her mother for forcing her and only thinking of herself, never suspecting that her mother had sacrificed everything for her. Thinking back, Tongxi felt extremely guilty for speaking such harsh words to her mother. Afterwards, she went to the Blue Whale bookstore to find Lin Nanyi. Suddenly, she saw He Xiaoyuan was also there. She was running around helping Lin Nanyi carry drinks, looking like they were the owners of the shop. Seeing Tongxi arrive, He Xiaoyuan said she had something to do and left first. Then the two talked. Tongxi said she would participate in the arts festival. This surprised Lin Nanyi quite a bit. Hadn't Tongxi tried everything to refuse her mother? It turned out she had understood her mother's heart and felt she had been too harsh on her. Tongxi knew this was also her mother's desire, so she was determined to participate. Finally, the festival arrived, and Taoju also had a role in the play. It turned out the girl originally cast for the role got sick suddenly. Taoju, who had been cleaning all day watching them practice, had unconsciously practiced along, so when she went on stage, her acting was incredibly natural, even moving everyone to tears. Now the female lead was just a dim star in the play. The spotlight was all on Taoju. After the play's resounding success, Taoju recalled her journey. It really wasn't in vain, and she was extremely satisfied, and her friends felt the same way. Until Taoju overheard a conversation between the senior and a female student. He made it clear that he was merely using Taoju. How could I turn down a fool willing to do anything for me? Outside, feeling her sincerity had been insulted, Taoju kicked the door right open. Crying from a mix of betrayal and feeling foolish, she declared she was quitting the drama club. Tongxi and Lin Nanyi, hearing the commotion, stepped in. After getting the gist of the story, they didn't hold back, hurling some harsh words at the senior before the three of them left. Taoju was crying uncontrollably. Just then, Wang Yiming ran back with drinks, grinning because he had no idea what had happened. This annoyed Taoju, and she lashed out at him. What have they done to deserve drinks? Then she burst into tears. Lin Nanyi whispered the situation to Wang Yiming while Tongxi hugged and comforted her friend. But they didn't expect Wang Yiming to go straight to the senior and give him a beating. When Taoju found out, she dragged Wang Yiming back to the senior to apologize, not wanting Wang Yiming to get into trouble over a moment of impulsiveness. Unexpectedly, the senior was ungrateful and arrogantly challenged them, speaking as if he were the innocent victim. Finding him unbearable, Taoju kicked him right where it hurts and declared in front of everyone, "Only I have the right to bully Wang Yiming. No one else better dare touch him." She then left like a hero. It seemed from that moment, Taoju realized she had special feelings for him. The next day, the qualifying round for the arts festival arrived. Lin Nanyi had bought a pair of ballet shoes as a gift for Tongxi. Unbeknownst to him, He Xiaoyuan saw this. Consumed by jealousy, she deliberately set out to sabotage Tongxi's rehearsal. He Xiaoyuan went to Tongxi's waiting room, pretending to be kind by offering her porridge for energy, but Tongxi refused. After some back and forth pushing, the bowl of porridge spilled all over the ballet shoes. He Xiaoyuan apologized profusely, but the moment she stepped out the door, her malicious intent showed on her face. Out of options, Tongxi had to wear the shoes Lin Nanyi gave her. This is a taboo for ballet dancers. During a competition, they must choose their most familiar shoes because they have been broken in to fit their feet perfectly, providing both comfort and confidence. Because she was wearing new shoes, Tongxi quickly ran into trouble on stage. At that moment, she remembered Lin Nanyi's words, "Dance with your feelings." So, Tongxi decided to take off the shoes and dance barefoot. Performance ended successfully. Backstage, Tongxi broke down in tears, but luckily Lin Nanyi ran to her. Without saying much, he carried Tongxi out, which made He Xiaoyuan extremely angry. That evening, Tongxi went to the hospital to visit her mother. It turned out she was hospitalized due to exhaustion. Upon hearing the news, her father had missed his daughter's performance to take care of her. But what Tongxi didn't expect was that when her mother saw her injured foot, instead of asking how she was, she scolded her. "It's just basic moves. How did you get injured? If something happens to your foot, how will you dance? Why are you crying? Do you feel unjustly treated?" At this moment, Tongxi felt incredibly disappointed in her mother. "I thought I had misjudged you, but today you gave me the answer." Tongxi threw her mother's gift on the floor and left. Her father contacted Lin Nanyi, asking him to look for Tongxi, fearing she might do something foolish in the heat of the moment. Lin Nanyi received the news and searched everywhere for her, not knowing that Tongxi had gone to his house to find him. In the end, they missed each other. When Lin Nanyi returned home late at night, he found Tongxi sitting at his doorstep waiting for him. Before he could ask anything, she yelled at him for not being home. Lin Nanyi could only apologize to defuse the situation, and then the two of them went to sit by the sea. The next morning, Tongxi went back home to pack her clothes. At that moment, her mother came in to ask about her injury. Suddenly, she froze when she saw her daughter's suitcase. Tongxi spoke her mind. She had decided to stop dancing ballet. Plus, with summer coming to an end, she wanted to enjoy it fully like everyone else. So she had decided to temporarily move in with her father. This hurt her mother deeply, but she couldn't stop her daughter. Living with her father, Tongxi could truly live carefree like a child. She ate whatever she liked and slept in all day. That evening, Tongxi invited everyone to her father's house for dinner, and the atmosphere was very cheerful. While they were eating, her mother texted her. She accepted her daughter's wish to stop ballet and promised not to interfere in her decisions anymore. This made Tongxi extremely happy because she could finally be herself. To reach this decision, her mother had had a talk with the dance teacher. The teacher gave sincere advice. Tongxi has always thought ballet was your wish, not hers, so she has always resisted. Just like us, one must have passion for ballet to succeed. Even if you force her, she cannot become a white swan. So that night, the mother decided to remove everything related to ballet from her daughter's room and stopped being as stubborn as before. That night, her father advised Tongxi to go back to her mother because he didn't feel at ease leaving her alone, and he sent some food back for her mother. Tongxi listened and returned home. When she stepped into the house, she saw that all ballet-related items had been put away, and her mother had kept her promise. Tongxi immediately shared the good news with Lin Nanyi, saying she could now live her dream. But when he asked what her dream was, Tongxi paused for a beat. She hadn't thought of it yet. In the following days, Tongxi freely hung out with her friends, but trouble arose among the couples. A female classmate started eyeing Wang Yiming because of his heroic actions. Initially, Tao Zhu didn't think it was a threat, so she didn't pay much attention. The next day, Lin Nanyi invited Tongxi to visit a boy in the hospital. He was a fan of Qinghe, so Lin Nanyi wanted to go encourage him. The boy's mother was very happy because it had been a long time since she saw a smile on her son's face. Afterwards, Qinghe taught the boy how to draw. Suddenly, the boy asked Tongxi, "He taught me how to draw, so what will you teach me?" This made her freeze for 5 seconds. But in the end, Tongxi chose to teach the boy ballet. They looked very happy dancing together. When Lin Nanyi asked her about it, Tongxi couldn't explain why she had instinctively thought of ballet at that moment. Meanwhile, Wang Yiming was preparing for a basketball game, so Tao Zhu went to watch him play. Unexpectedly, that other girl also showed up, making Tao Zhu feel an imminent threat. Throughout the match, the girl cheered incredibly enthusiastically, which annoyed Tao Zhu even more. Eventually, she excused herself and left early to let them be together. That night, Tongxi thought about the day's events. She remembered the ballet, but still couldn't understand if she truly loved it. Suddenly, her mother walked in, and Tongxi hurriedly hid the shoes in a box. Her mother brought a late-night snack and asked whether Tongxi would choose the science or art stream. Tongxi had her answer ready: the art stream. Unexpectedly, her mother agreed. Unlike in the past, making the mother and daughter feel much closer. The new school year began, and everyone looked sluggish. The teacher immediately called them to order and announced that the school would organize a community service day and activities to support the poor. Hearing the words, "the poor," He Xiaoyuan immediately felt sensitive because she didn't want the class to know about her difficult living conditions. Tongxi wanted to participate in the community service day out of curiosity. Seeing this, the other three also agreed to join. Meanwhile, when He Xiaoyuan returned home that evening, her father told her to apply for poverty assistance at school because he knew the subsidy was substantial. However, He Xiaoyuan refused because she found it incredibly humiliating. This led to another argument between father and daughter, putting her in a terrible mood. She even snapped at a classmate who tried to talk to her. During the break, He Xiaoyuan secretly took the poverty assistance application to see the teacher. Unexpectedly, she bumped into Lin Nanyi on the way. This made her feel incredibly ashamed, even though Lin Nanyi told her it was nothing to be embarrassed about. That night, He Xiaoyuan thought about her lies and felt exhausted. She had built an image of a beautiful, high-achieving girl from a wealthy family in everyone's eyes. If they found out now, she wouldn't know where to hide her face. The next day in class, He Xiaoyuan suddenly saw her father's silhouette on the school grounds. Knowing trouble was brewing, she asked for permission to leave. Just then, Lin Nanyi also went out to get a comic sketch for Tongxi. He accidentally saw the two tugging at each other. Upon asking, he learned they were father and daughter. He Xiaoyuan, afraid of losing face, told Lin Nanyi to go back inside first, but unexpectedly, her father didn't care and told him everything. He Xiaoyuan felt utterly helpless. After school, she went to the shop to confide in Lin Nanyi. She couldn't understand why some people were born into families with everything, while she had nothing. He Xiaoyuan wanted to lean on Lin Nanyi to cry for a bit. Unexpectedly, Tongxi walked in at that exact moment. Seeing the scene, she left without saying a word. Lin Nanyi immediately chased after her. He Xiaoyuan felt she had lost in every aspect. Finally, the outdoor activity took place. Girls proactively approached Wang Yiming and Lin Nanyi, which was a huge eyesore to Tongxi and Tao Zhu. Unexpectedly, wanting to attack Tongxi, He Xiaoyuan deliberately claimed that she and Lin Nanyi shared a secret between the two of them just to provoke her. But Tongxi wasn't a pushover. She retorted without missing a beat. Although she acted tough on the outside, those words successfully dragged Tongxi's mood mood down. Lin Nanyi wanted to clear things up, but Tongxi didn't care to listen. At that moment, He Xiaoyuan spotted Lin Nanyi and Tongxi's pledge necklace lying on the sand from afar. That evening, her father took the initiative to come over and cook for the mother and daughter, making Tongxi very happy. I had quite a few unhappy things happen today, but seeing both mom and dad like this makes me incredibly happy. It seemed the couple's relationship had also improved since the mother was hospitalized. The father's thoughtfulness had moved the mother a little. Suddenly, Taoju called Tongxi to report drama in the class group chat. The class monitor had just applied for poverty assistance. However, He Xiaoyuan had always claimed to be from a rich family, which meant she had deceived everyone. The next morning, when He Xiaoyuan arrived at class, her classmates avoided her. Even her close friend. They didn't hate poor people. They hated the deception. This made He Xiaoyuan even more self-conscious, even though she knew there would be judgment. Stares like this once everything was exposed. Tongxi was curious why everyone's reaction was so harsh, so Taoju explained He Xiaoyuan's fabrication. Unexpectedly, He Xiaoyuan was standing behind them and heard everything. She immediately blamed Tongxi and even laid hands on her belongings. The classmates were shocked to see this scene. Seeing their reaction, He Xiaoyuan loudly chased them back into the classroom. Taoju immediately stepped in front to protect her friend. It turned out that because He Xiaoyuan always assumed Tongxi lived a pampered life, she had developed jealousy and resentment. At this moment, she took out the necklace she had found and threatened to destroy it. Even though Tongxi demanded it back, she wouldn't return it. Seeing this, Lin Nanyi said he would get it back and chased after He Xiaoyuan. When he arrived at her house, he discovered the performance dress that had gone missing previously was right there. Lin Nanyi seemed to understand everything then, so the two went out to the beach to talk. Here, He Xiaoyuan only spouted complaints about Tongxi. Seeing this, Lin Nanyi made it clear that he had previously helped her only as a classmate in need, whereas Tongxi was the light of his life. Even if Tongxi hadn't appeared, nothing could have happened between the two of them. Then, he took back the necklace and left. Lin Nanyi walked through the rain to bring the pledge necklace to Tongxi. Seeing him soaked, she told him to come inside for shelter. Suddenly, her mother returned, leaving Tongxi at a loss for how to explain. Are you Lin Nanyi? Tongxi's father talks about you often. Luckily, her mother knew of Lin Nanyi. She then invited Lin Nanyi to stay for dinner. Suddenly, Taoju called to report that He Xiaoyuan's mother said she had run away from home after an argument with her father, so everyone started looking for her, but they couldn't find her anywhere. Tongxi suggested Lin Nanyi try calling her, thinking she might pick up. He Xiaoyuan answered Lin Nanyi's call and shared her location, so the two rushed to her. When they arrived, He Xiaoyuan said she was fine and wasn't stupid enough to do anything dangerous. Tongxi then told Lin Nanyi to go buy water, as she wanted to speak with He Xiaoyuan alone. Tongxi admitted she didn't like her either and knew she was the one behind the recent petty tricks, but just hadn't spoken up. Then, the two got into a physical scuffle. After the fight, they finally sat down to talk, and Tongxi shared her own struggles with He Xiaoyuan. Not everyone can see and understand the suffering of others. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean I don't have it. Moreover, we are different. You have your own stage, and so do I. We can't be compared. I really admire your competence, so don't look at me and feel inferior. Thus, they reconciled. When the two walked out with disheveled hair, the other three stood frozen for a few seconds. That night, Tongxi and Lin Nanyi sat waiting for He Xiaoyuan's mother to pick her up. Her mother was overjoyed to see that He Xiaoyuan was safe and sound. The next day, Tongxi went to class as usual, but because the classes had just been split, she accidentally walked into the wrong classroom. Because many classes were merged, the relationships among classmates became livelier. After school, Wang Yiming complained to Taoju that he didn't know what to eat on the date with that girl, so he wanted Taoju's advice. Suddenly, Mia came out and showed them a piece of news. The great god, Qinghe, had revealed his face. When she saw the great god's real face, she immediately called Tongxi to verify. When the other party confirmed it, Taoju fainted dead away because she never expected the great god to be her friend. Meanwhile, Lin Nanyi was being surrounded by fans asking for autographs, and Wang Yiming was also shocked by his best friend's true identity. Mia had guessed it long ago because she had noticed Lin Nanyi drawing many times, so this news wasn't shocking to her. The next morning, when Lin Nanyi arrived at school, he was surrounded by female students. Even Wang Yiming had to queue up just to get close to his friend. It was truly ridiculous. Even worse, they couldn't even have peace during lunch. Students kept taking out their phones to film and take photos of Lin Nanyi, making everyone feel quite awkward, and they even ran over to ask for autographs and photos. From then on, Lin Nanyi's time became more limited. He had to go filming and record interviews, which made everyone everyone feel distant. That night, Tongxi went to Lin Nani's house to talk. She didn't understand herself either. Sometimes she wanted Lin Nani to be known by everyone, but other times she wanted to hide him away because she felt Lin Nani didn't belong to her anymore. But Lin Nani comforted her, saying they would only be bothersome at first and would eventually forget, telling Tongxi to rest assured. Being too busy, Lin Nani couldn't continue his job at the Blue Whale shop, so Tongxi stepped in to replace him for a while. Meanwhile, Lin Nani was giving an interview where they were curious about why he chose the path of drawing comics and where his initial inspiration came from. Lin Nani simply replied that he drew comics just to kill time. Unexpectedly, as fate would have it, the stories he wrote were based on the real-life details surrounding him. But when the interview ended, Lin Nani saw his mother waiting for him, though he didn't pay much attention to her. It turned out she wanted Lin Nani to transfer to an art school to support his current career, but Lin Nani flatly refused. Meanwhile, Wang Yiming was on a date with that classmate, but he kept texting Taoju for advice, which annoyed her greatly. Tongxi could see her friend's feelings, but Taoju insisted she didn't have any romantic feelings for Wang Yiming. Back at the dinner, during the conversation, Wang Yiming unconsciously called out Taoju's name. This made his date quite sad, but luckily, the food arrived just in time to save the situation. As soon as Wang Yiming took the first spoonful, he realized the white dish contained cow's milk. His expression changed immediately because he would get a stomachache whenever he consumed milk. Soon after, Wang Yiming was hospitalized due to dehydration. Upon hearing the news, Taoju rushed to the hospital and scolded him for not knowing how to take care of himself. Seeing Wang Yiming cry, Taoju couldn't bear to scold him anymore. "Hey, I just realized you are the most important person to me." That evening, Tongxi's mother mentioned she was busy because she had to film all day. Hearing this, Tongxi offered to do it for her. Meanwhile, Lin Nani returned home after a tiring day at work, waiting only for a text message from Tongxi. The next morning, Wei Zhe met Lin Nani and gave him a gift from Xiao Bei. The boy thanked the two of them for giving him the courage to undergo surgery, and his mother also apologized for posting Lin Nani's photo on social media. Meanwhile, Tongxi went to Teacher Shu's place to film a video. While concentrating, Tongxi unconsciously started dancing along. Seeing this, Teacher Shu invited her to join him. Tongxi looked incredibly happy, displaying a gracefulness never seen before. Teacher Shu quickly sought out Tongxi's mother and showed her the footage. Seeing her daughter merge perfectly with the dance, she felt incredibly happy. She had never seen her daughter so joyful while dancing ballet. It felt just like looking at her younger self. Tongxi shared that joy with Lin Nani. At that moment, Lin Nani showed her Xiao Bei's gift. The boy wished to see Tongxi dance on stage in the future, which made Tongxi fall into deep thought. That night, feeling nostalgic for ballet, Tongxi practiced alone in her room. Her mother walked in at that moment and praised her daughter's filming work. Suddenly, Tongxi told her mother that she wanted to continue learning ballet with Teacher Su, which made her mother incredibly happy. Today was the day the exam results were released, so Taoju and Tongxi went to check the scoreboard together. Unexpectedly, they caught Wei Zhe and He Xiaoyuan chatting. Both looked a bit shy, so these two immediately started speculating about a future for them. Next was the parent-teacher meeting. Lin Nani hesitated but finally called his foster father to inform him about the meeting tomorrow. His father agreed, but his foster mother standing nearby felt it wasn't right because Lin Nani's biological mother had returned. If they went to the meeting, it wouldn't be appropriate. The day of the meeting arrived. Tongxi's mother didn't know the classroom, so she asked her daughter to come out and get her. Without thinking, Tongxi asked Lin Nani to pick her up instead. Unexpectedly, while at the gate, he saw Teacher Jia and his biological mother approaching. This made Lin Nani extremely uncomfortable, and he confronted his mother. "To me, you have no right to appear here." Then Lin Nani stormed off. Seeing this, Tongxi hurriedly chased after him, but Lin Nani wanted to be alone and told her to go back. Tongxi refused because it was the first time she had seen Lin Nani so angry. Upon asking, she learned that the woman was his biological mother. After returning to school, Teacher Jia also advised him, "Your mother chose to leave back then surely for a reason. Perhaps there was no better solution, but I will always support your choice." Standing nearby, Tongxi overheard their entire conversation. Meanwhile, Mia was also troubled because her lover had procedural issues and couldn't come to visit, so Mia decided to temporarily close the shop and go to France to meet him. Suddenly, a strange number called Tongxi. Answering it, she realized it was Lin Nani's mother. Knowing Tongxi was the friend her son cherished most, she asked her to persuade Lin Nani to transfer to an art school to develop his future. Initially, Tongxi resisted, feeling that since she had abandoned Lin Nani, she had no right to beg anyone. Only then did the mother open up, explaining that when she abandoned Lin Nani, she was the same age Tongxi is now. If she had stubbornly stayed by her son's side, their future lives would have been incredibly miserable, and she she didn't want that to happen. That night, Tongxi thought about it constantly and decided to ask her mother if raising her alone was tiring. It was okay, but if you had been even smaller back then, I don't know how I would have coped. This helped Tongxi understand that the woman had no other choice at that time. At that moment, Lin Nanyi had a dream where he saw his younger self at the exact moment his foster parents decided to tell the truth. The little boy, not understanding the situation, listened to them and walked toward his biological mother. But the current Lin Nanyi stepped forward and stopped the child. You can't go. She abandoned you, but she is your biological mother. This made Lin Nanyi pause and reflect. The next morning, Tongxi went to check on Lin Nanyi. She asked if he hated his mother. I don't know anymore. To change the atmosphere, Lin Nanyi suggested he go buy breakfast while Tongxi rested. While looking around the room, she discovered a drawing depicting a little boy running toward his mother. Tongxi understood Lin Nanyi's true feelings. He really wanted to go with his mother. When Wang Yiming heard the news, he blamed himself for being by Lin Nanyi's side for so long without knowing about his misfortune. Suddenly, that girl approached. Tao Ju saw this and immediately said she had something to do and left. Although Wang Yiming looked unhappy, he didn't refuse the invitation. That night, he constantly texted Tao Ju for help. Hey, pretend to call me and say there's a family emergency so I can end this date. Jealous and annoyed, Tao Ju called and scolded Wang. Can't you handle your own problems? Why do you keep bothering me? The next morning, Tongxi spoke with Lin Nanyi. She returned the drawing to him. She wanted Lin Nanyi to make peace with himself because that little boy back then always yearned for his biological mother, but now he was in conflict with that feeling. The next morning, while Wang Yiming and his female classmate were walking home after school, they unexpectedly ran into the senior. Still holding a grudge from last time, he shouted at the two of them. Out of fear, the girl blamed Wang Yiming, claiming he pushed her into him. At this moment, Wang Yiming realized that only Tao Ju always stood by his side. Just then, Tao Ju arrived from behind. Without saying a word, she rushed at the senior and declared that if he dared to touch Wang Yiming again, she wouldn't let him off easily. Only then did he feel relieved. Fortunately, Uncle Ma, the security guard, stepped in to intervene, so both sides reconciled peacefully. Seeing Tao Ju's heroic action, the female classmate apologized for not being brave enough to protect Wang Yiming. At this point, he also confessed that he felt very happy when with Tao Ju, but felt rather uncomfortable with this classmate. Consequently, the girl decided to give up on this unrequited love. Meanwhile, Lin Nanyi took Tongxi to his foster parents' house, but only he went inside. During the meal, he asked why they had chosen to let him go with his biological mother back then. His foster mother confessed that she knew that woman always missed him, and she couldn't bear to separate the bond between mother and son. Then, they gave Lin Nanyi a box of letters. It turned out his biological mother always missed him and frequently wrote letters to ask about her son. When Tongxi saw the box of letters, she found it extremely interesting. That night, he read all the letters his mother had sent and felt her silent companionship. The next morning was Lin Nanyi's birthday. Everyone prepared a surprise party for him at Mia's shop. Everyone offered their best wishes to Lin Nanyi. Tongxi, however, wished that the two of them would be together forever, which made everyone burst into laughter as they didn't expect her to be so forward. What followed was a moment of joy together. They seemed to return to their childhood, with laughter filling the air. That night, Lin Nanyi chided his friend, asking how Wang Yiming could claim to understand him, yet gift him a box of paints. Didn't he know he drew on a computer? Hearing this, Tongxi felt a pang of guilt, because the gift she prepared for Lin Nanyi was also a box of paints, though hers was special as it was handmade. But contrary to his reaction to Wang Yiming's gift, Lin Nanyi kept praising Tongxi's gift, saying he liked it very much. His unreasonableness made Tongxi giggle. The next morning, Tongxi went to his house and advised Lin Nanyi to go with his mother and attend art school because it was good for his future. Aren't you afraid of separation? I am, but I'm more afraid of you missing out on your future. Thanks to Tongxi's encouragement, Lin Nanyi decided to transfer schools and began saying goodbye to his friends. He said goodbye to everyone, except for Tongxi. Instead, that morning, Lin Nanyi came to pick her up to hang out, and they revisited the places they used to frequent as children. Lin Nanyi gave Tongxi a painting he drew himself, using the paints Tongxi had given him to create this artwork. Afterward, the two played like little children at the park. Lin Nanyi even suggested stealing guavas, but unexpectedly they got caught, so both of them ran away. Meanwhile, Wang Yiming fell into a gloom because he still hadn't accepted the reality that Lin Nanyi would be leaving them. Tao Ju also tried hard to lift his mood. At this moment, Lin Nanyi mentioned the letters Tongxi used to write to him when they were children. He asked her to continue writing to him after he left Shihai, fearing they might drift apart amidst the hustle and bustle of life. Hearing this, Tongxi smiled and agreed. That night, Tongxi cried because she missed him, even though Lin Nanyi was still right there. The next morning, Lin Nanyi took the earliest bus bus. Meanwhile, Tong Shi acted like a lost soul and was even bullied by others, but fortunately, He Xiaoyuan stepped up to protect her. Wang Yiming couldn't bear to see the two part ways like this, so he drove Tong Shi to the bus station, hoping they could meet one last time. Upon entering the station, Tong Shi ran everywhere looking for his familiar silhouette, but couldn't find him. She thought she had missed their final meeting, but unexpectedly, familiar voice rang out. It turned out Lin Nanyi was standing there waiting for Tong Shi to arrive. Before parting, they exchanged handwritten letters, and finally, Tong Shi saw him off. Both were reluctant to part, but the one crying the most miserably was actually Wang Yiming. In the days that followed, Tong Shi wrote to him regularly, updating Lin Nanyi on everyone's situation. Tong Shi also practiced more diligently and showed marked improvement. As for Tao Ju, she accepted the senior's apology and returned to the drama club. It turned out the senior had knelt down to apologize to Tao Ju. Because of that, she returned, but eventually, she chose to leave again because she felt it wasn't right for her. Meanwhile, Mia went to France to meet the person she loved. Time flew by, and everyone left Shihai one by one. Wei Zhe also returned to Decheng, with He Xiaoyuan being the most reluctant to see him go. And the day for Tong Shi to take the entrance exam for the art school finally arrived. When the judges asked about her purpose in dancing ballet, Tong Shi simply said it was because she loved it, and her life couldn't be complete without ballet. The exam went smoothly. That night, she went to Lin Nanyi's house to tend to the garden as usual, when suddenly the lights inside turned on. Tong Shi immediately called Tao Ju to report a thief in Lin Nanyi's house, then grabbed a nearby shovel and advanced toward the storage room. Unexpectedly, the person who walked out was Lin Nanyi, leaving Tong Shi both happy and surprised. "Didn't you transfer schools? Why are you back here to take the university entrance exam?" It turned out Lin Nanyi had transferred schools, but his academic records were still here, so he returned to register for the exam. And the day the results came out finally arrived. As expected, both were admitted to the same university. The same went for Tao Ju and Wang Yiming. The two simply couldn't be separated. While chatting, Wang Yiming took the initiative to kiss Tao Ju on the cheek. Her exaggerated reaction made Wang Yiming think she didn't like it, so he apologized immediately. Unexpectedly, she responded with a similar kiss and then shyly walked away. In the end, everyone found their own companion, their youth shining brilliantly together. Our movie recap ends here. See you in the next videos.